Hey guys, Mike Monty from Monty Nefaro. Hope all's well. Happy Thanksgiving to all. I wanted to come in here and just take a quick time out to discuss. We had an interview with Marty Jannetty on Wednesday, and part of the discussion was his treatment or actually the treatment of Hannibal towards him. So it seems to be a little controversial. People are 50-50 split. They felt that Marty was asking for too much money. Again, there's some confusion whether Marty asked for 1,000 or 10,000, but the point is, does that really matter? Why do I ask that? Well, here's the deal. If you're doing a business transaction and someone asks for some money, and you don't want to give that to them, or whatever the transaction, you want to buy something and then you deem it not worth that price, well, then what do? You just don't do the deal. Really simple, right, guys? Very simple. But Hannibal, like Hannibal always does, uses this particular discussion, let's even call it an argument, to make a video to grab views, right? To make money. We've seen him do this numerous times with Lanny Poffo. Remember, first that started as a work and then became real and became a shoot problem between the two. We saw him do it with Wild Bill Irwin. Wild Bill Irwin came on his show, probably was intoxicated. Okay, fine. They did almost an hour interview, and then it got nasty. And then Hannibal pulled out of the interview. Doesn't pay the person he has the agreement with, but then takes his time and puts that video up. And what does he do? Makes money with it, right? I know for a fact that Hannibal did not pay that vendor for Wild Bill Irwin. Wild Bill Irwin was on our show and even said it. So what makes it right for Hannibal to use things after having an agreement and pay it? So today he comes on and he discusses, I think he calls us bottom dwellers or whatever else it was. And then he proceeds to show all his subscribers on YouTube and all his subscribers on Facebook. Well, let's start with this. Hannibal reached the illustrious YouTube 100,000 subscriber level where you get the silver plaque, which many YouTubers thrive to do. It's quite the accomplishment, and kudos to Hannibal. Unfortunately, if you notice, Hannibal had that taken away because Hannibal was buying subscribers. That's a fact. Okay, these are facts. Now, is Hannibal successful? Sure, he's successful. But remember, he was the original YouTuber. Okay, Sean Oliver was, and our videos did the original shoot interviews. Hannibal had this smarts. I don't know how, because we all know that he's on the borderline, to say the least. Use YouTube as a venue in order to drive revenue. We've heard some points that Hannibal at some points was making over six figures on his channel, which is, again, quite the accomplishment. But let's discuss the man Hannibal, okay? This is a man who sat around and bragged today how many subscribers he's got. If he was so popular, I want you guys to think out there. If he was so popular, how come Dark Side of the Ring will not work with him anymore? How come Busted Open Radio doesn't pull him in, right? They pulled in Denise Salcedo, right? You know, guys who know Denise Salcedo, and they brought her in. Why wouldn't they bring in Hannibal? He's actually bigger than Denise Salcedo. You guys got to start questioning this stuff. He's a hands-off guy. He's got problems. He's got issues, and he's not normal, guys. He is not a normal man. So I'm going to reiterate, in case you don't know who Denise Salcedo is, she was taken in by Busted Open Radio. And again, if Hannibal was as dominating as he claims to be, well, listen, then Busted Open, Sirius XM would have took him in. Why wouldn't, I don't know, some of these other networks? There are other networks out there, but no one seems to want to do business with this guy, or they find him hands off because they know what? He has major issues. And again, when he first started, it was very impressive what he did. He brought in wrestlers. He asked generic questions. He did his old style. This is Hannibal, Lanny, the ridiculous, right? But again, there's been other people that have come along that are much more entertaining, like me and Jimmy, all right, that if we had started with him, he wouldn't even be around at this point. But let's move past that. So Hannibal's so very proud of himself. Now, guys, I want you to think about this. He is so very proud of himself for what he has established within the market. 2 years ago, he decided to try to take his own life, and unsuccessfully at that, right? So not only can he screw up everything, he screws up that, and he decides to go on a video and discuss it. If he was so happy with himself, why did he do this? Could it be possibly that he was broke, didn't have a job? He talks about all these other wrestlers. He was talking about Marty, get a job. This guy worked security, okay, because he's a big dude, supposedly a tough dude. I have no idea. I will tell you this, and these are facts that I do know. Kevin Sullivan hated Hannibal, hated him. In fact, we were at dinner numerous times where the joke was imitating Hannibal because people just couldn't deal with him. They had that Texas League with James Beard. Kevin Sullivan was the booker. They brought in Hannibal because they felt that Hannibal had this great following, right? Makes sense. Bring in Hannibal, and all the people, all his, 400 million views that he claims to get would draw attention to this, right? What does Hannibal go do? He goes and drives a spike into this referee's head. Now, again, everybody's like, well, the referee knew this was going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Here's a story that I was told, and this was from Kevin Sullivan himself, that Hannibal was drunk at that event. He was starting with people all night about that, and he took advantage of this guy. Now, again, the guy did sue him. I mean, if we go through the records here, let's go through the list of Hannibal's issues, right? On December 11, 2021, at a show, a world-class pro, WCC P40. I'm going to put my glasses on for this guy, so I'm going to come out of gimmick. I just want to read some of the things that Hannibal has done. And again, you know what? Just like politics, you guys got to stop drinking the Kool-Aid. If you're a Hannibal fan, I don't know why. He's not a good person. And that's the end of the story. He could talk about Marty Jannetty, Wild Bill Irwin, Lanny Poffo, on and on and on and on. He is not a good person. On December 11, 2021, at a show run by World Class Pro Wrestling, WCPW, Irving, Texas, Nicholson, wrestler under the Blood Hunter persona, faced off with former WWE talent. After the match was supposed to be a blade job, the spot went horrifying wrong. Instead of controlled cut blade, Nicholson allegedly grabbed the spike and repeatedly stabbed the referee, identified as Lando Del Toro, in the head, leaving him bleeding profusely. According to court filings and news reports, Del Toro suffered a torn artery in his head, needed emergency surgery, and received several staples to close the lacerations. The violence was real, not staged. Eyewitnesses, including officials and referees of the match, said that Nicholson went totally off hinges, ignored orders, hid the weapon, and continually stabbing even after the first ref tried to intervene. Now, again, this is documented stuff. Okay, now he tried to pass it on as a work. Kevin Sullivan himself, James Beard himself were there. They said this. Several backstage personnel claimed Nicholson was intoxicated prior to the match, allegedly with a beer in hand and stumbling during the entrance. This is what Kevin Sullivan told me personally numerous times. Immediately after the incident, WCPW publicly released Nicholson. On August 2023, the injured referee filed a lawsuit against Nicholson, seeking at least $250,000 in physical pain and mental anguish and lost wages. The lawsuit claims Nicholson unnecessarily escalated and planned a spot by choking violently and stabbing Del Toro's head. According to the lawsuit, the multiple reports, there was no medical staff on the site of the show. All right. Again, I don't know whatever happened with that. After the video of the attack surfaced, Nicholson addressed it on his YouTube channel. He claimed the referee was an active participant. That's what Nicholson does. Everybody's a participant. Marty Jannetty, Lanny Poffo, Wild Bill Irwin, on and on and on and on and on. And then when a guy like Vince Russo applauds him for calling Wild Bill Irwin a piece of shit on air, whatever he said, then he brags about that. Let's move on to some other stuff. Other allegations beyond the ring. Beyond the 2021 stabbing, there was more troubling allegation involving Nicholson's personal life in 2022. He's reportedly charged in a case involving a woman he was dating. Nicholson addressed the charges publicly, denying wrongful doing and claiming the other party had also been charged. While he has denied some of the claims, the facts remain that isn't just a story, a bad wrestling spot gone wrong. It paints a picture of the man whose actions, both in and out of the ring, have repeatedly crossed moral and legal lines. Guys, we've got to stop being sheep. Where there's smoke, there's fire with this. This isn't just about Devon Nicholson. It's about what happens in the boundaries between work and violence breakdown, about the ethics, responsibility, and protecting performers who actually trust each other and keep them in the ring. Now, again, Nicholson made the statement on his video today that what have Jimmy and I done in wrestling? Nothing. We created a podcast that became extremely popular, and it did well. Let's ask him what he's done. He claims to be signed to a WWE contract. He claimed that Abdullah the Butcher gave him Hep C. He claimed that he lost that contract because of Hep C. Here's the thing. He could have been signed to whatever. The fact of the matter is he's a nobody. He is a nobody who makes movies under the persona of the Blood Hunter and his other stupid movies that he does. He was living with his parents just 2 years ago. So again, guys, when there's smoke, there is fire with this guy. He claims to be this collegiate wrestler. Again, I can't seem to find any real background on it. Again, it could be true. Look, no one's going to deny that. 1, was he successful on YouTube? Yes. 2, was he making a lot of money? Yes. 3, that's it. That's all he's known for. Guys, sometimes you got to look into the person themselves, okay? He's a vindictive, angry, bitter man whose life turned out to be nothing. He hinged his life to be a pro wrestler, and now he's a guy doing YouTube that's being bypassed from the kid from England and all the other wrestlers doing their show. I mean, guys, he does a wrestling show, and he doesn't even watch wrestling. Isn't that enough for you all? Again, you'll all lay your own judgment. You'll all think about whatever you want to think about. Here's the fact of the matter. Would you want Devon Nicholson watching your kids? Leave you at that. Happy Thanksgiving.